Okay, so can we start? So welcome everybody. I'm Mallard. This is Petr. We work at Red Hat and we're also long-term contributors to the documentation project, where we maintain several books, and we are always trying to figure out how to make the documentation better. And in this presentation, we won't be talking about the documentation project as such, because this presentation is targeted on software developers. We want to show you how you can document your software yourselves, not to rely on documentation that is published on the Fedora Docs website. And today, we want to show you Mallard. I'm not sure how many of you know about Mallard, or who knows what Mallard is? Great, perfect, 3 people. So a good thing is that in this presentation we will be talking about what Mallard is, how to translate documentation written in Mallard, how to publish documentation in Mallard, including how to package it as an RPM or as a built-in help in your application. And then we want to talk a little about the future of Mallard and what are the other possibilities. And I think we will like, what do you want to say there? So if we start, what is Mallard? So Mallard, and don't be scared when I say it's an XML-based language, because I know that developers don't like to hear that. Because when you say XML-based language, most people think about Dogbook, and that's a scary beast.
It's not that scary.
I know, I write it as well.
It's scary for you.
It is not scary if you work with it for a long time. It's like the Stockholm syndrome. You learn to like it.
I'll tell, if you come to my DocBook presentation on Friday, I'll tell you a joke like that about XML.
But anyway, it is an XML-based language, which gives you a lot of advantages. You can use XML has a lot of tools that allow you to work with it. And another part is it's a semantic markup language. Just like Dogbook, it doesn't. You are not telling what it should look like, but you're really marking it up. This is an application. This is a package. This is a procedure, and this is the first step. You're marking it semantically. It's also designed specifically for software documentation, which means that you have a set of tags that are tailored for elements of the system. You are able to describe that this is really a package. And it's fully topic-based, which I will be talking about it in a minute. So, how is it different from Dogbook? This is a question most people ask. Very. For me, Mallard is what Dogbook should have looked like a long time ago. It is a fairly young project, and it has one principle, and that is minimalism. If you ever saw the Dogbook definitive guide, you can see that there are hundreds of unique elements, and there are hundreds of elements that are kind of duplicates of each other, and sometimes you look at something and you wonder, should this be a function synopsis or class synopsis, or should this be a parameter or an option? A lot of duplicities. And then in the Dogbook they have these elements like a system item that has class, and you can select that this is a username and this is a library file, and all of a sudden this is what it should have looked like in the first place. Mallard is a lightweight markup language in this regard. It has only 53 elements. And these 53 elements are general enough, yet complete enough, so that you can really focus on what you want to write about. Don't think about the markup, and everything you ever need is already there. So this is the first thing that is different. The second thing that is different is Mallard is a very young project. It is in active development. The recent stable release is Mallard 1.0. On the Mallard pages, there are draft pages for extensions for Mallard that will eventually be included in Mallard. And unlike Dogbook, you can influence its development. If you feel that there's something you're missing in Mallard, there's some functionality that should be there, you can raise a bug, you can talk to the developer, you can influence development. I know that Petr, when he was working on upstream in known project on the user docs, they together came up with a specification for including multimedia content, and Peter will show it to you. And one important thing I wanted to say and forgot is that all of you already probably know Mallard even though you don't know about it. All of you know extra dependencies are required. So, yeah. And I don't want to rely on slides, so I want to show you what Mallard actually looks like. So, okay. Another thing that people ask when they think about XML is, it is difficult to write it. It's a lot of markup, and it's difficult to focus on the content. So you'll be happy to hear that Mallard already has support in every major editor there is. It has support in Emacs, it has support in Vim. It is of course supported by Gedit, by Genie, and I'm not sure about Eclipse. I don't think so. But you can. And I will try to. I normally use them, but because I don't want to prefer one editor, I will be switching between those two. Enable, Max. I want to show you when it loads a rather very simple page. It doesn't even has to look like this. This one has a lot of metadata. And all you need to start a page, and this is where the topic-based authoring comes to show off. When you think about DocBook, you are thinking about books. DocBook only can create articles and books with all requirements. So if you want to, for example, you have your application and want to describe a certain functionality or some part of it, you need to think about the structure of your book, where to put it, how to present it. With Mallard, you don't really have to, and Peter will show you in greater detail in a minute. What it does is it has these little files called pages, and all of these are individual topics. And there's no main file that specifically includes these pages, like in table of contents, but instead you categorize each page. For each page you can specify that this is about system setup, this is about installation, this is about, I don't know, desktop, and then in the index page you can specify, here I want all topics that are related to this, here I want all topics that are related to the configuration process. And you can add new pages and they will immediately appear in the index. This gives you a lot of freedom, and it liberates you from having to think about the entire structure instead of focusing on the topic at hand. And for me personally, this is a very, very nice feature. So here I have an Emacs session with a sample topic, and as you can see in Emacs, Emacs supports Mallard by default. It recognizes it correctly. It by default loads an XML mode, and that's about it. If you were Emacs user, do we have Emacs users here? Great, at least two. So, if you want to use Mallard in Emacs, I strongly recommend opening the Melpa package repository and installing Mallard mode. And if you ever have problems with that mode, yell at me because I wrote it. So what Mallard mode adds, it adds a lot of functionality there. First of all, if you run Mallard mode, and I'm running it here at this moment, it automatically enables the syntax highlighting and sets it up for you. As you can see, or you cannot tell, but it is validating the content. It will show you if you make a mistake. It automatically installs snippets for Mallard, and even integrates with support tools that are available with Yelp. I will show it in a minute. So, what a page looks like, what you really need to do to start a new page, all you need to do is specify this element, then this title, and the rest is just the content. And as you can see, the markup is quite minimal. Here you have only, it is not as verbose as a book, for example, and it's quite intuitive. So this is support in editors. Another thing that can help you with writing Mallard is, as I said, the snippets. Let's see if I remember how to write in Emacs. So, for example, my snippets are always trying to be as predictable as possible. So I have a snippet for every single element there is, and it's named exactly after the element you want to use or the tag you want to use. So if I want to start title or a page, title, I write title, and here it offers me all types of titles, and I just pick the one I want to use. So I want this one, filling details, and I can continue. So, and the same with page, for example. Which allows me to focus on what I want to write instead of having to write all this by hand. The same support is for Vim. Another thing that might make it quite nice for you is that for Mallard there is a package called Yelp Tools, which provides a tool that allows you to validate it for you, display editorial comments, check links if they work, check cross-references, and even check IDs. And in Emacs and Vim, this mode, and in Vim I will show you where to find it in a minute. In Emacs, all this is already included in the mode. So if I want to validate this document and it will fail, yes, I want to save it. Okay, so here are validation errors, as you can see. I have page here twice. It's quite ugly. Let's see if I remember how to go back. Okay. Come on. What's wrong with this? I have it somewhere. I don't know where.
There is a dragging /info, I think. 5 lines above. Here.
Sure.
There is no starting tag for that.
Yeah, that's quite possible. It's weird. Okay. I opened the wrong one. Anyway, normally it would say it's valid.
Just pretend like
Yeah,
it's
let's pretend it's valid. Well, another thing, I can display editorial comments, I said. So here, parsing the document shows me what are the editorial comments. And sometimes in Mallard pages, you can have discussions with different authors and people are discussing what is the best approach and why this doesn't work and how to document it better, etc. All this is described in the mode. And a similar thing exists for Vim, so you can use exactly this. You never have to leave the comfort of your editor. And one more thing that is nice about Mallard is that you can display any page in real time. Just by typing Yelp and the name of the page. I'll try a different one. Let's try. Let's try this one. And as you can see, it's pretty fast, unlike the book, which you need to build the whole book. And a great feature is that Yelp actually monitors the file system. And whenever if you have the file open, I usually use a setup where I have two windows next to each other, preview one, and the text I'm writing. And what it does, whenever I save the file, it refreshes automatically, so I can immediately see what it looks like, which is extremely helpful, trust me. So these are a few reasons why I think that Mallard is worth considering for your project. And of course, if you want to run Yelp tools, it's just a command line utility. See, I'll check with the display help. Here you can find what it can check for you. So, for example, if I want to know the status of all files I have here, I can see. I can even validate these paths or do whatever I want. Okay. And this is what it looks like when I converted. This is a finished page that was converted to HTML. And as you can see, this is what you see when you launch Fedora for the first time. And it has built-in support for videos. And this should be a good segue for Peter to jump in and start talking more about these features.
Right, I think.
So let me switch here. Yeah. You really want to talk about this a little more.
So, other design principles in Mallard is modularity. So you can have, for example, two separate documents that you want to merge for presentation time, right? So you want to have them developed separately, distributed, for example, in different RPM packages. But you want to display them as a single document or as a document that looks like it is a single document. So, so a good example of that is nom-help, which is shipped in Fedora 18+. And getting started guide, the guide probably mentioned, those videos you've seen. And the way we reference them and basically merge them is that we have them, we install them into the same installation directory on the client. And then on the index page for nom-help, which is like the main landing page for nom-help, that you see when you run the help in nom shell, for example, we specify a link group with this links element. We give the group an ID, which is first, because it's at the top of the page, but you can really have a completely different ID. And then for the document, it should be a link from the landing page. And also, there is a backlink. You specify at the top of the file, info element, a link element with the same ID group, obviously. And you specify the ID of the landing page for nom-help. Then you install those two documents in the same directory, and when you view the landing page for nom-help in Yelp, or when you generate HTML from these documents located in the same directory, you see a link or cross-reference between these two documents, right? So you can navigate from the landing page of nom-help to getting started, and you can go back from getting started to nom-help, right? So you can see it in Yelp when you, for example, first log in to nom in Fedora. This is the Yelp window you will see after you are finished with nom initial setup. Here are some basic topics on getting started. So down to here, this is the document we call getting started, right? And this link is actually what I just talked about. This is the cross-reference we created by specifying the links and link element. So this link is basically created automatically. So when you click it, nothing happens because it's not installed in the same directory. But if you view this document in Fedora in nom shell, right, you will see that that link actually will read nom-help, will getting started, and will get you to the nom-help landing page.
I can show you what it looks like when you use it in action and with different categories. So here you have now, what was it, some video pictures. So here I get to a different view, and here it's categorized automatically. Here, for example, all these topics have, I don't know, sound as a keyword, all these topics have players as a keyword, all these have photos, and they're included here automatically. So when I want to add a new thing here, I just open a new page and just fill in the gaps, specify that this belongs to this category, and it will show up.
Yeah. So you don't have to manually, I would say, create a table of contents or index page with groups of links. It's all generated automatically based on what IDs you specify in each of the topic file, right?
What about sorting? Does it get
So,
sorted alphabetically
yeah, because
according to ID?
the nature of how it works, you are quite limited, like sorting wise, because of this automatic generation of this
But
thing.
what does it use? Like, how does it sort? Just
Well,
randomly?
alphabetically, right? So we start
Alphabetically.
there are some tricks like workarounds actually that you can get into.
You
Usually
sort
don't-
either by topic name or by ID maybe? Does it sort by ID ascending?
You usually don't need to do it anyway, because this is specifically for built-in help,
Yeah.
and it's not a book. It doesn't matter if this is right here or
Right,
here. It's a
yeah.
bunch
Stop.
of topics.
Yeah,
So it can be
you don't care
separated.
very much about sorting in
But in
topic based
getting
things.
started, then you might need to pay more attention to flow.
And then, that's why we have those next two links when you go back to getting started and click on the link, right, on the topic that you want to read. You will see that there is some support for linearity in Mallard, in that you can define which topic should be first in like the tutorial and should be the next.
Where is it?
So click for example to change the look.
All right.
And do you see the previous link at the top? When you click it, you see previous next, right? So you can like go from one topic to another like that. This is also defined in each of the topic. Right? Oh, I know. Okay.
Okay. Slides. Where they are. Oh, yeah. And you wanted to talk about multimedia.
So that's actually what you already seen. That getting started guide is a good example of multimedia support in Mallard. So unlike DocBook, if you ever try to, let's say, provide rich content in DocBook, well, it's basically non-existent. Okay, you can do something there, but
It is not
Mallard
portable.
yeah, right. So you can include images, including SVG graphics. You can include audio. You can include video files embedded in your document with Mallard. You can even include the raw SVG markup, because it's XML in the Mallard document. Next slide, please.
Is it?
Oh, actually,
Is it
you already seen the video player there, right?
Is any of these videos subtitled? Or you can show
Yeah.
them?
Let's go next slide. Alright. So
Perfect.
this is how the player in Yelp looks like. And if you generate HTML files from a Mallard document, it's implemented HTML5 using the video tag. So it looks pretty similar to this, right? If you have an HTML export. So you can see that it's in an overlay, right? I think it looks like cool actually.
One thing I like is that you can really have subtitles there.
There are subtitles, which is a plus, and I will talk about it later.
Again, did everybody see the subtitles there?
Yeah.
And it works in Yelp and it works on HTML, which is quite nice.
Now I will talk about the fact that it's all translated, right? So you see the subtitles. The thing is that the subtitles are not hard-coded into the video, but they are included in the markup for each of the files and for each of the Mallard topic when they are included. So if you can see the markup for the getting started page, that's the getting started guide, the main page. So if you scroll down a bit, right? So this is where, or maybe a bit up. Sorry. This is where the. So this is the UI overlay element is where the video, when the embedded video code starts. So we define the video file, the file name, right? Then we can have like a poster, which is like a picture displayed when before you start playing the video, right? Caption, right? You can have a caption for an image, for video, for anything, for audio. And here you see the subtitles, right? So this is just part of markup, which also means that when you extract strings for the markup file, subtitles are also extracted, so translators can translate them just like, you know, and then translate the actual textual content. Alright, so go back to slides. Alright, so that part of Mallard, this subtitles supports not part of the Mallard core, but it's actually an extension to Mallard, which is not that important, but because Mallard is designed to support extensions to extend the functionality, subtitle support is one of them, right? Yeah, thank you. Right, so you already seen the thumbnail video with subtitles. This is basically the markup, just show you. So you can move on. Right, and we are at internationalization and accessibility, which come together. Because you can define fallback content for each of the media, which is embedded in the Mallard file. This is friendly for people who are disabled, right? For example, we use screen readers. They can see the video, they can listen to the audio, but they can still use a screen reader to read the content for them, right? That also applies to subtitles. So, because it's all included in the markup for the Mallard file, it's accessible to everyone basically, right? One uses a screen reader. So IPS tool is IPS tool. IPS tool is a tool used with Mallard. It's a tool developed by, I think we haven't mentioned Sean McKenzie yet, right? So he's the author of Mallard, and he's also the author of this tool. He's maintaining Yelp and Yelp tools, and he used to be a non-documentation project leader. He's an XML leader. He sits on a W3 committee for I18N, if I'm not mistaken. And the ITS tool is an implementation of this VW standard international text set, which allows you to basically take XML and make it translatable in that much more translatable. The website includes some basic documentation. We have it packaged in Fedora, obviously. We use it, it's used mainly in GNOME, but it can actually be used in any project that requires to convert XML files to GetText PO files, right? So ITS tool is an implementation of ITS for Linux platform, which heavily depends on GetText due to historical reasons, right? So, because our translators are used to work with GetText files, we need to support it, but because GetText was originally developed to support UI localization, it's not that good with documentation, with localizing documentation, but anyway, ITS tool can make it much more better, the translating experience. So this command line, for example, is used to convert an XML file. This can be Dotbook or Mallard or any other XML language to a PO template, which can then be used by translators to supply the actual translated strings, right? And then convert it back to an XML. So ITS tool includes some ITS data categories, which are like, for example, attributes or part of XML markup that you can use to do a couple of things important to translators. For example, you can specify if you want to have a certain part of your markup translatable or untranslatable. Sometimes you need to tell translators, do not translate this part of the string, right? Because, for example, a command. It's not. So you can use ITS translate. You can specify globally for a document, or you can specify for a small portion of your markup for an element, for example, right? Localization nodes specify translator's comment, so some translators need more information as in what does that string really mean and the meaning of the string. So that's what localization node is for. And because the original specification of ITS 2.1.1 didn't include support for gettext or for context specification in gettext files, Sean implemented an extension to ITS2, so ITS2 has a module design fee, and that extension is especially important for our translators because they very often need to, let's say, avoid this very uncool feature of gettext that it merges the source strings that are the same, right? Not all this works for you. For example, you have to localize the non-shell calendar. Can be displayed from or accessed from the non-shell top bar, and then you have abbreviation for weekdays, right? Or TT in English stands for Tuesday and Thursday, but not in Czech, right? Or not in German, or right? So then that's where you need to specify context information. That's what this IPST extension does.
Okay. So the next part is on publishing, because that's what most people are interested in. So you have documentation. How do you get it to the users? And the reason why we delve into translation details is that this is one of the advantages of using XML language. It allows you to make it really translatable, unlike man pages or unlike ordinary text files. This makes it easy to translate, and you can use standard tools that translators are used to. So for publishing, I already showed you the HTML output. I also showed you what it looks like when you open it with Hradilek. So let's revise what are the supported formats. Right now we're talking what Yelp itself supports, and it supports output to 3 formats. It's HTML, XHTML, and EPUB. But that doesn't mean that this is complete. I also want to mention that although Yelp and Mallard was originally developed specifically for the GNOME project, it doesn't mean that it's limited to it. It is universal enough so that you can use it for any project. And you don't even have to rely on Yelp if you don't want to. And if you want to write another output format, you can. Sean Mechanics actually maintains a separate package that is called Yelp XSLT with XSL XSLT files for Mallard and Doghook that Yelp uses, and those are heavily commented, pretty well designed. I was able to play with them with almost no problems, unlike some other style sheets. And it is very easy to look at them, use portions of them, and implement another output format if you're crazy enough to work with XSLT. So this is one of the things you can do. So how can you deliver your documentation to customers? You of course, probably if you're developing your software, you want to have some kind of a website, and Petr will show you that there is a mechanism to build a website based on your own Mallard. Of course, you can just create HTML pages, static pages, and refer to them from your website. Works perfectly well. And second option is either to package it as a separate RPM package, and that's what GNOME documentation does, and what you can do too, so that it is installed somewhere in the user share doc, and then you can access it with Yelp. Or you can even, and it is well documented on your website, you can integrate it with your application, so that when you press F1, it runs Yelp for you. It is very easy. So, this is better packages, some of the packages for Fedora.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about this a little more.
So I already mentioned that for GNOME help or getting started guide in GNOME, we distribute these documents as, did I say that? As RPM packages. So in upstream in GNOME, we produce tarballs, right? As the source archives with for example, GNOME-L, GNOME-F, or GNOME component that includes GNOME documentation packages. We use all the tools, Autocomp, Automate to produce the tarball. So we use the standard build system, right, to build the tarball. And we also depend on this non-common module or package that is used across all, basically across all non-produced tarballs in upstream. So that pretty much the way we distribute the Mallard documents in GNOME or in Fedora follows the way we distribute like GNOME packages in general.
And this is what it looks like when it's built. As you can see, it's quite neat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Expert study.
So if you want to use this OpenTools build system to build and distribute your Mallard documents, you need to specify help enable configure AC and then create a makefile for the document. Actually, you can have multiple Mallard documents in a single RPM package or in a single tarball. It's that for the GNOME user docs package in Fedora. But for each of the documents, there must be a makefile. That makefile must specify these rules. So help ID is super important because it specifies the installation directory. So obviously for GNOME help and getting started, we must use the very same help ID to ensure that both the documents get installed into the same directory, so we can then make use of Mallard's modularity that we talked about. Help media is used to specify the media files you use in your documents, for example, video files that you need to distribute with the tarball, obviously. Help linguas are used to specify the available translations. Right, so obviously Mallard has good support for localization. All translations are distributed in the same package as the source English version. Right? When we package it, we follow the freedesktop.org specification that has been created a while ago to ensure that the documentation for GNOME or, for example, KDE are installed, all the documentation inside the same directory or location in the file system, which is user share help /LL stands for the language code, which is C for US English, the source language, and then /help ID, which is the help ID I just mentioned. All right. Help already knows because help implements the freedesktop specification, so help already knows that where to look for the document. Right? So when you, for example, open Yelp, shall it automatically displays GNOME help because it looks into user share help C/GNOME-help, which is the GNOME-help is the ID for GNOME help. And help nom org is an example of way how to get these star balls onto the web, right? And how to create a Mallard-based documentation website with indexes, good navigation, and support for multiple languages. So there is a Git repo in upstream. Here you can grab the libgo script, which is used to generate the website from the table. So the way it works is that downloads JH build modules has to figure out what modules we need to use to generate the website. Then it actually downloads the data with actual documentation. So it, for example, downloads the GNOME user docs package or the GNOME getting started docs package. Then it calls the tools that we already talked about, right? To build the documents. That means to build, by build I mean to export Mallard pages to HTML actually. Then it copies to the right location on the server and takes care of indexing the install documentation and creating index pages for each of the language that is supported or distributed in the tarbles, right? So in GNOME we have like 80 languages, so there's quite a few index pages available on help GNOME org.
Okay, so now that you're properly scared and you know what the YOLT and YOLT tools and Mallard can do pretty much everything, let me assure you that it's not that scary as it looks. When people ask me how long does it take to learn Mallard, if you have previous experience with any XML language like HTML or DocBook or Data or anything, it usually takes you an hour or two to be able to write efficiently in it. And for that, there are a couple of resources, and you obviously will not have to be dealing with translation and packaging at first. All you need to do to start documenting your software is just create pages. So Mallard has its project page here, projectmallard.org, where it is very easily documented, and it will give you answers to everything you ever wanted to know about the language. If this is too scary for you, there is a book that was written on one of the, was it the Hackfest?
I don't know.
Is it written in Mallard?
It is written in Mallard. And this book can be found online on FLOSS Manuals. It is called Introduction to Mallard, or we have a printed copy in our office if you happen to work at Red Hat. And it basically guides you uses small steps to teach you the language. And if you're lazy like the most of us and don't have time to read a book, there's this little cheat sheet, and once you orient yourself how to find the info you're looking for, this is all you need to write in Mallard. And as I said, we used it even for internal projects, and it usually takes a person like 2 hours to be able to contribute or write from scratch. I briefly mentioned support for it in editors. I'll just show you. If you are an Emacs user and don't use Melpa, you can download it from GitHub. It is located here. So are my snippets for it. For snippets, I even have here. So here are my snippets. There is also a package. So if you happen to be a Fedora packager and I'm still waiting for somebody to review the package, so that it gets to Fedora, and that way you could just install yum install Emacs Mallard mode, and you will have it. The same thing for Win. I managed to get basic support into the upstream Win, but if you want more, like omni-completion, for example, which is DTUD, where completion only offers you the elements that make sense in that particular context, install this plugin. It also includes support for YOLT tools, so that you can run YOLT tools or even build a book from your Vim session. And here are my snippets. And if you ever need to know what a snippet does, here is auto-generated list of, as you can see, I have one for every single element. And what it does is it tries to offer you the first indented tag with pre-filled default reasonable values with the ability to change these values if you want. For me, it's that way I can focus really on what I'm writing and not think about the markup. And so we mentioned future. If you are really against XML, if you prefer languages like ASCII-Doc, the problem with ASCII-Doc is that it's not semantic. And a lot of people don't appreciate semantic markup languages, but they really give you an opportunity to present it on different devices without support for bold text, because you know what it is, you can figure out how to present it, and of course you can translate it, and you can test it automatically. There is a little project started by the same developer as Mallard, and this is in the early development stage. And again, this looks good because it shows off every single possible option, but it's basically a format that is very similar to ASCII-Doc or Markdown, but it is semantic. So it's basically somewhere around here. Yeah. Too bad it doesn't support syntacticality. They call it duck pages because of Mallard, of course. So my point showing you this is, if you like this idea, if you would like to have an ASCII-Doc like a language but semantic that can be one-to-one mapped on Mallard so that you can use it interchangeably, contact Sean McCann and tell him you want this, because he's not properly motivated yet and he needs some feedback. And that should be all from us. Here are some links to further reading. I already mentioned some of those. This is the website. This is the cheat sheet. This is the book I was talking about. And now is your time to ask questions.
If you have a question, we have a Mallard for you. Okay, first ask a question.
How does the Redux NG and Emacs validation and all that stuff work with these translation tags? Like, if you put them in the right places, is the document still properly validated, or
Should be. I can actually include it in my Mallard mode if you want.
yeah, it would be useful.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
Oh,
Let's say I want to document a software which is written specifically for Fedora, and I wanted to document it in Mallard. Is there a way to host that documentation on Fedora pages?
well,
There are some recommended way?
not yet, because the Fedora Docs project, and we have a hackfest about Fedora Docs randomized Jared, right? On Friday. So we will already discuss different documentation formats we could use going forward, but no, not yet. You can get Mallard pages on Docs FPO or any other official Fedora website yet. But maybe in the future.
So what is the recommended format for Fedora documentation?
So far we use Dogbook as the language for official Fedora documentation. Dogbook 4.5.
We're slowly moving it.
And here's your Mallard.
I've got a question. I got a question.
You already have a goal.
Can I have a question? If somebody wants to learn more about DocBook, where should they go? Presentation from now.
This is
If somebody wants to learn how to use Mallard, they can come to your workshop
They
tomorrow.
come to the workshop. They come to the workshop.
No.
I would like to mention one more thing, but if you already have a book documentation, you can run Yelp on it, and it just shows the dogbook page.
This is what I actually use when I work on it.
So what?
It's shown to implement the same support for file system changes. So when you write in dogbook, it refreshes automatically.
Yeah, it's very useful.
It is very useful.
Yeah, A question related to that, are there any XSLT files transforming the book to Mallard?
I don't
Right
think so.
one.
Like, I know it's not possible to translate something with these long lists of
But it happens
texts.
often.
But most of the books you write in DocBook don't use that many tags. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
even when I was talking to Sean about this 3 or 4 years ago, he ran several docs through a little script he wrote, and at most there was 15 and 20 tags, so
Yeah.
it was pretty commonly used.
Theoretically, it is possible because it is possible to translate completely a book to a Mallard one. And on the pages,
And do you know how Yelp works when showing when displaying the book file? Is it doing the transformation?
Yes,
like
it's
that?
doing the information
transformations
on the fly, right?
And if you ever plan to transform something from DocBook
Can I see an
to
example?
something else, I strongly recommend using the style sheets from Yelp because those are more sane than those distributed in the book itself.
Okay. Good news for me.
Can you compare to other documentation frameworks like I don't know Doxygen, or is it possible to mix the source code and the documentation, for example? In Mallard?
No, I don't think so. Like, no.
Well,
Really
you can
useful
do some
for developers documentation.
Yeah, this is more end user documentation, not
Right,
code
yeah.
documentation.
You can write developer documentation in Mallard, but you can use it like use Doxygen.
So you would need to write it 2 times, like
If
copy the source code and paste it into
Right,
the...
yeah.
Well, you can also write something that will extract
Extract it out.
the
So-
data
Right,
and
yeah.
output it to
So-
something else.
Doesn't GTK do
It's just
support
like you have
like that?
Java doc for Java, so you pull
There is one important announcement.
Yeah.
We have a Mallard session tomorrow in the afternoon, right?
It starts at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. So if you are interested, welcome to join. And it's for developers, for anyone else who wants to.
It is a workshop, so if you want to learn more about Mallard or maybe want to consult with us, what are your options as the developer, you're welcome. We will do our best to help you. And here I wanted to show you that Sean thought about it. And for each element that has a counterpart in DocBook, here is a little discussion. So this should help if you want to write a transformation script. Definitely read this. Here are recommendations how to map it to the other language. Any other questions? I believe that there's 2 more balls.
We have 2 more balls.
This is the hunger talking.
Again, because of
Why is it called Mallard?
Because Sean likes text.
Why does he like that?
Why don't you ask him?
You see the logo?
Yes. It's because the O'Reilly DocBook, the definitive guide has a duck on the front of the book.
that might be the reason.
It's an interesting conspiracy.
Right.
Conspiracy
There's a
theory.
conspiracy theory.
There's always a conspiracy.
And a mallard is just a more specific instantiation of a duck.
So, if that is all, thank you very much for.
Thank you.